Hey everyone, and welcome back to Guam. Wanted to take you down to the south of the island. We're almost at the bottom of the island today, to one of my favorite places, the village of Umatak, which sits down there in the valley. That's where we're headed. This is definitely going to be a place that you're going to want to check out if you're interested in some of the history of Guam. I didn't know I'd have the opportunity to see one of these. This right here is a carabao, which is kind of the official animal of Guam. I don't know if it's officially official, but the Bank of Guam, their symbol is the carabao, and you see it all over the place, and they're pretty cool animals. Got some big old horns on them. This bay behind me is the Umatac Bay, and it's significant in the history of the Chamorro people, or the native people of Guam, for a couple reasons. One is really, really ancient. One is a little bit more modern. Let's talk about the ancient one first. So there's a creation story in the folklore of the Chamorro people that took place right here in this bay. There were two gods, Puntan and Fuuna. They were brother and sister. Puntan was the brother, and he convinced his sister Fuuna to take apart his body and to use it to create the world. So he laid down, and his back became the oceans and the seas, his chest became the sky. She took one of his eyes and she made the moon, and then she took another one of his eyes and made the sun, and took his eyebrows to create the rainbows, which there are many of in Guam. Eventually the time came when Fuuna decided that she was also going to become part of this creation process, and she threw herself down on the ground and she became this pillar of stone right here. And the ancient Chamorro people believed that it was from that pillar that all humanity was born. And in ancient times, the Chamorro people would make pilgrimages to this stone because they believed that it had supernatural powers and healing powers. The other reason this bay is so significant is because this is where Ferdinand Magellan first discovered Guam, if you want to use those terms. At least he was the first individual from Europe to find and discover Guam. And he came aground here in Umatac Bay. At least that's what most people believe. There's some discussion about where exactly it was, but kind of the general consensus is that it was here. And every year around February, March time, there's a reenactment of Magellan's landing and the Chamorro people greeting him and some of the hostilities that took place following that initial friendly greeting. As you may know, Guam used to be colonized by the Spanish, and when that was the case, this bay was the major port for all trade and all ships that were coming into Guam. That's not necessarily the case anymore. The population of Umatak has been shrinking. I believe it's actually below 1,000 now. The majority of people are moving up north to Agana, to Mooning, Dedido, places like that. And so Umatak kind of sits quietly down here in the south with all of its history, but this used to be the center of everything. Speaking of Spanish colonization, this fort was built here on the south side of the port in order to protect the port from piracy. In the past, there's been 4 forts in this area. This is the best preserved and the last built. It's called Fort Soledad. That's the short name for it anyway. And unfortunately, though, this one's not in great shape, and the reason for that is two things. First of all, is that there was a rumor that there was treasure buried here, and so some treasure hunters came and they tore it up a bunch, and then World War II happened, and it definitely took some damage in that. I understand that history might not be your thing. One great thing about Umatak is that if you hate the historical part, there's great scuba diving and snorkeling around here as well. Octopus, there's actually a good chance, I think the best chance on the island, to see dolphins just over here in this area. So that is just a little taste of Umatak. I'm sure there's things that I've missed. I'd be interested if anyone knows of some of those. I'll leave them down in the comments below. Things that you should do while you're here. Maybe you've been to Tumon and Dedido and you've done all the touristy things and been to all the beaches and you're looking for something a little bit different, maybe a little slow down, maybe to get a little bit of the southern culture in. This is a great place to do it. And you can't beat the southern mountains.